Hello and welcome to another episode of ZED Talks, Leaguecast Fixes Champions. This month we'll be talking about Varus, Vayne, Veigar, Vel'koz, Viego, Viktor, Vladimir, Volibear. Joining me is Colton Blue Basket Sweat.
Happy Tumo Day.
And Nick the King Cooper.
Hey.
Yeah, so there's a lot of VI characters, or like I said, Veigar and Vel'koz. Veigar just sounds like it's VI, but
yeah.
Let's jump right into it with Varus.
Oh, man, I hate that lethality is the way to play him now.
Really? Huh.
I like that. I just don't like that the optimal way to play this particular character is to be 1500 range away and deal a shit ton of damage. I really like the changes actually that they recently employed, where you are rewarded with a lot of cooldown reduction if you can actually weave in some blight autos.
Yeah, that's cool.
And proc that. I think it's a really good way to incentivize like not quite full lethality, but also not quite full attack speed. But I don't know. It's not. I guess it's not fun, especially with certain items in the game, like what is it? Shrelia's Grudge. Is that how you?
Yeah.
Like
or
items like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Items like that kind of make it not fun because that's just a huge amount of penetration on top of having like one of the best passive effects in the game. So I don't know.
All right,
it's a little crazy.
Here's the play. All right, so you know how Varus is just like two guys and a Darkin all mixed together.
Yep.
If you're not familiar, that's his lore. Is that like it's him and another guy like that got consumed by the Darkin, and then he like consumed them both. All right, so his ultimate is he just splits, and there's three of him to all apply the on-hit effects.
Yeah, you can start microing like groups.
No, there's just three of you, and all three of them have to die for you to die, but they all have a third health.
Jesus.
No, so it's weird, yeah, because he's just always in a spot where it's like one or the other is just way better. Personally,
and it never feels like it's attack speed.
I think he should be more of a caster, where it's like his Q doing the big damage. I think the fact that there's even like on hit magic damage on his W doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I think that part of it could be like if we scrapped the W and even probably like the attack speed passive on his passive, where like you could make him more of a fully dedicated, like this is an AD mage that's going to chunk you with big hits. So his current passive, right, is that like after you killed something you get a little bonus attack speed. It could just be like your next auto attack or spell deals flat bonus damage. You know, so it's like, okay, I last hit a minion and then I auto a champion to get a bonus, or like I throw an E out to poke them. And I think his W could be changed entirely. I mean, I guess that you want to keep the blight stacking as an on-hit, but you could also designate that towards passive. And I guess you could then maybe make that W thing being that like passively when he kills something, his next attack or ability does a little more damage, and then like you can activate the W to deal a ton of damage on your next one, and then maybe get part of the cooldown back depending on how many blight stacks they have.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I don't hate that. I just don't want him to be like. I do like the idea of him casting. I want it to be more like Lucian, I guess, where it's not entirely ability based and you do have to weave in a lot of autos. But I don't know. It feels like it's either going to be one or the other always.
Yeah, it always has been. I feel like that's just how like a game like League that's kind of solved, where like everything's been maxing is going to be. I would love a world in which so lethality Varus is just always better on red side because you can like poke for barons and stuff like that, right? Like typically it's just like seen as a better thing. I would love if it was literally like it was enough of a threshold that like on hit was better blue side.
That like, would be cool.
Poke was better red side, but it's just like never gonna be that. It's just never like I don't know. It's cool that he can do both. It's I guess it's cool enough that he like shifts through metas like into different ones, but it does feel like poke is almost always better. It's like 80% of the time it's better.
Yeah, maybe he should be given. Do you guys remember the old runes where it was like Spellblade or something? I think. Where your abilities would enhance your auto attack damage and your auto attacks would enhance your ability damage. Maybe he could have that in some sense.
That'd be really cool. That would definitely fix some of it.
Yeah, maybe that could be a passive is like when you auto attack, you deal increased spell damage. And when you deal damage with spells, you have increased auto attacks. Like something of that like nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that a lot. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how like you could actually have that work. I guess I'd probably want to see it where it's then just like one alternating blight stack where it's like the color of the blight mark is your auto attack or ability will trigger this.
Ooh.
Right, so it's cool. Like, red blight means your ability will proc it, and then they have blue blight, and then you need to auto attack them, and like every time you do that, you get, a chunk of damage on it, or maybe, attack speed, move speed, whatever you want to give him. Mm-hmm. I think it'd probably be attack speed, movement speed, because in that world, he'd have to be able to move around a lot more.
Yeah.
And then I guess you could probably make the Q... Because part of the issue is, right, like, you want to charge the Q for maximum damage, so, like, doing a quick pop your Q in the middle of a fight feels really bad, and even like the E animation is kind of long, which is I think part of the issue of why the whole like weaving a ton of autos and abilities at the same time like you can with Lucian just doesn't work for Varus. Is like all of his abilities are just like a long animation and aren't super fast. But I mean, they could remedy that, and they could make his E faster. They could make his Q, like, maybe just the range increases as you charge it. Mm-hmm. To, like, let you... Or maybe they could make, like, the size of the arrow get way bigger. Like, the range and the width of it charges up. So it's like, if you do a really close range, like, short Q, it'll do the same damage, but, like, you have to hit that thing dead on.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I could see.
Is there any world in which he could charge his ultimate? Or I honestly, I feel like they probably had that in his kit at some point, but then they're like, this is way too similar to his Q animation.
Yeah, but they could make his Q like just a quick like the same size arrow every time, and his ultimate be the one that charges, and it could be like really cool. The root duration stacks up in the range. I think that could be super hype.
I actually like that a lot because I think his ultimate is kind of a lame tool where like it comes out so quick and you kind of just have to flash it or else you get hit by it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think in the world where we want him to be like a very good alternating auto attacks versus abilities, his Q has just got to be a fixed range and quick cast, and his ulti is the charge up. I really like that, and then I think he functions a lot better at that role. And again, you probably do something with his W. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Cool. I really do think Varus is like a character that, I mean, he's always been like in and out of meta. Fuck, he's stupid OP in ARAM, but that's another story.
Actually, I've been playing in so many AP Misfortunes, and I want to die.
Yeah.
She's just the best Leandries user in the game. I'm convinced.
Yeah. She's kind of gross. Yeah,
but she's
it's
not
definitely like yeah. Hey, we talked about her a couple of months ago, but yeah, hopefully we'll see like more on hit Varus. I think he's like really really cool to see. But next up is Vayne, who I think she's been one of the best AD carries for a while now.
Yeah, and I don't, as much as I don't like playing against the character, I feel like she doesn't have a lot wrong with her kit. Like I think she's pretty well balanced kit wise, and usually it's just numbers that do her in,
especially in modern day League of Legends. When she was released, I remember like even myself, I was fucking rioting in the street that she is the way you counter true damage is you build health, right? The way you counter percentage health damage is you build like
armor,
or whatever, like you know what I'm trying to get at. And she just did like percentage max health damage, and you're like, oh, Or it's true damage is what I was trying to bring up there. True damage, like you build armor.
Well, yeah, percentage true damage of health, right? Yeah, so it's like
there's no counter to it as a thing.
You can't buy health. Your only option is to buy attack speed slows or CC her.
Yeah, exactly. Or build more damage and kill her. Yeah, exactly. But I think in modern day League of Legends, that is not a problem at all.
No,
and I think
not
overall
anymore.
she's like super fucking well like balanced. I like that her ultimate is literally just like a amplification for her like ability to outplay. Like really, it gives you AD and movement speed and makes your Q stealthy. But it's not like it's a fucking powerhouse like 800 damage nuke ultimate or something, right? It's literally like I'm using this and I'm gonna outplay the fuck out of people, which is super cool.
Yeah.
I think her passive is pretty lame of run
the movement
fast
speed
towards enemies. And I guess I'd rather see that on like maybe you get a boosted movement speed every time you proc a third hit and then give her a real passive.
But I think it works because as an AD carry you want to kite back. But for Vayne, like you almost want to go forward to
you're
subvert
hunting
expectations to dodge. Like I think it really works for her, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the classic role, like the classic outplay where like you're chasing a Vayne and she alt tumbles and you think she's tumbling away, but she tumbles back towards you. Oh, yeah, exactly. It's so fucking sick.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything you guys want to say? Personally, I think she's like my favorite design DD carry in the game, like actual kit design wise. And I don't think she needs much, but like I could see her. Yeah, her pass is probably her only real thing because like I think her Q is fine. I think her W is fine. I think her E is fine. I love her ultimate more than anything. But
yeah, her ultimate's super sick. I guess maybe if they wanted to push her, like I don't think this is necessary, but if they wanted to, they could tone back the strength on the W generally and make all of her abilities stronger when she ults, where it's like, you know, the percentage goes up when you're in your ultimate and then like the E stun could be longer. I don't think it's necessary by any means, but you know, if they wanted to make her more of that window as opposed to currently it's like in some games, a Vayne will just be at a spot where it's like, regardless of if she has ult, she's just going to auto you 3 times and you die. And she's going to auto somebody else 3 times and heal up 80% of her health.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like too much to say about her. Like, just really cool. I hope she like stands the test of time and will always be like kind of fringe meta as like an AD carry. She's very cool.
I hope so too.
Next character is Veigar, the fucking Master of Evil or the Tiny Master of Evil or whatever his thing is.
I don't know. I feel he feels kind of fine too. I think his cage is kind of problematic, but it sets up like his abilities like in ways that I think works with this kit.
I think he needs Cage. Like Cage, for him being like a full AP burst mage, like the bursty of the burst mage, his best ability probably is his Cage, which is kind of funny. But I also think that he's a bad character without it. I don't think you can just be like a fucking raw damage 0 CC having thing in League of Legends, right?
Yeah. Not unless your damage is like too disgusting to even.
Yeah, not unless you can actually just walk up and R somebody 100-0 without hitting anything else.
Yeah, earlier in the game, he would have to be able to kill people with like Qs and stuff like that, or his W would have to be able to actually be landed without a stun or something.
And I think he's weak enough early, and his cage isn't so oppressive that it's unplayable. That I think it works for the champ. You know, you can flash out of it, you can blink out of it. It interrupts like dashes and things like that, but that's fine with me, I guess. Because like he does have to scale for a lot of time to get to that point to be able to one hit someone with all of his kit. You know.
I mean, yeah, I feel like he doesn't need to scale as much as like I want him to have to. I don't know, but yeah.
No, but I also don't think he can be like pure scaling, worthless for the first like 11 levels.
No,
right?
No, and I wouldn't want that. I guess I generally, like a lot of characters, I would want to just flatten out a little bit. His
but also
ultimate being like point and click is weird. I mean, not like I think a problem, and I think it makes sense for him, but it's just so frustrating when the Veigar walks up to an 80% like character, presses R, and they just die. hate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that like that could be said about a lot of characters, not many with point and clicks. But I think like if any character's fed enough, it's gonna feel that way, I guess.
Yeah, I think that the only like thing that I always disliked about him that has been changed is that he only got stacks by like farming, and I think that you can play super uninteractive game styles with characters like that. But the fact that you can now get stacks by like trading and stuff like that, I love it. I love that you can get stacks by trading. I think it makes like him way more interesting as a character. That was like the biggest change I ever wanted, and they already solved it for me.
Yeah.
What if for his cage they changed it so instead of being however many sides it is now, it rolls like a random number between 3 and 8, and you get a triangle cage sometimes, and sometimes you get a square cage.
I could also see like a little bit more randomness in his kit. You know, I think there's not a lot of room for randomness in League, but a certain few characters like Twisted Fate, like Veigar, these like more like wonky kind of cartoonish characters could do it, you know.
I could see maybe his W having like 2 iterations of damage, where the first one's a lot faster, and then like the second one is where you really need to land the cage. Right, so it's like, hey, you can hit them with a W, but it's like the first one does like maybe 25% of current damage, and the second one is like 75% of current damage. I don't know. Yeah, he's weird. I mean, I think like Everfrost in general just makes him kind of fucked. But I don't agree. I think he's too like. I think it seems like it does, but you have to get close enough to use Everfrost, which I think is like a big problem with Veigar, because if he is that close, then he is like a lot more vulnerable, you know. And you can't like Everfrost into cage because then you're using Everfrost in melee range, and it's really hard to cage into Everfrost because then you have to hit a raw cage.
Yeah, I think like current iteration of Everfrost is fine. Do you remember the old Everfrost like last season with Glacial? I think that was like the I'm glad we're
that's
not
way
in that
more
anymore,
problematic
because Veigar wasn't good because he was a burst mage at that point. He was like good because he just fucking threw out cage into fucking Everfrost, into like fucking Freezy like garbage, into like just all this shit. He just had actually CC in his kit 100% uptime.
Yeah.
But like I think like current one, I think there's like tons of downsides of like being close range on Veigar. Like yeah, if you get close to someone, you probably kill them, but you almost certainly die for it. I think he's like fine. I think he's cool. I'm glad. I wish he did like a little bit more like damage with like his Q, but like it had like less CC and stuff. But I honestly think it's like not a bad trade off currently. It's like done pretty well.
Yeah.
Cool. Do we want to talk about Vel'koz? I have a weird hatred for this character.
Really? Why?
I just think that like I don't think he's as hard as people make him out to be who made him. That's like my main issue with him. I think he's the best of like the support mages right now, despite fucking Vel'koz telling you otherwise. He's just super safe and does actually 1 billion damage. My least favorite thing in the world is when a Vel'koz main just ults someone without hitting any of the other abilities and just ults them, but like they can't get in, they also can't get out, so like they just take 1 billion damage just from his fucking ultimate.
Yeah, him being able to just R somebody, I think, is one of the huge issues with his kit currently. And like whether it be a support or a mid, like the fact that he can just like throw it on you when you're almost at the edge of its range, and it's just going to slow you and get like 4 ticks before you can get out of it, is so frustrating.
Maybe it should only slow if he's researched you as well, or if he like once he procs research on a character, the passive true damage, maybe then it can slow and do true damage. So that way you can't just. That way you can't just raw ult and get the slow right away and proc it that way.
They could also just kind of rework that passive system so it's not like every 3rd instance of damage. You know, it could be like every instance of damage from a unique ability. Or like I think there are ways to go about it that could help with that. Or it could be just like each of your basic abilities adds like a stack to it where it's, your ultimate each time it ticks is going to be dependent on how many basic abilities you hit first. Like,
yeah, I think it would be fine, like being unique stuff. It could like even have like a bigger proc on the actual like 3-hit passive part of it, sort of thing. And I'm still finding this Q counting is like 2. Like if you know when you hit like the middle part, it like explodes. I think that should count as 2 if like you hit them with like the actual middle of the skill shot. But like I do
think
just
the only
fucking
thing that
hate
the only thing that
alt
sucks then
trade.
is then your W can't proc like 2 stacks of it, even though it's a very slow, like very telegraphed ability, you know?
Maybe it should just be his ultimate can't tick multiple times. It should be get one ability.
Yeah.
That's probably all we need to do there,
Yeah.
rather than like trying to like come up with something new. It's just a little bit. It's just so fucking lame when it like he hits one ability, then ults you, and you get immediately hit by true damage.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like I think he's like, I mean, once again, I don't think he's a character you can change much. You can't change his ultimate. You can't really change his Q. Maybe you could throw his passive on something else rather than just being a passive. His W is kind of lame as fuck. But I also think you need probably like just another. He just needs another like thing to apply passive, right? That's just a mechanic to apply passive.
He needs a really reliable ability, and I think that's what his W provides.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else. I personally don't play enough Vel'koz. I just very much dislike it. I just have strong opinions about that more than anything.
Yeah, I think he's fine.
Cool. Do we want to jump into Vi really quick then?
Yeah, let's do
Sure.
it.
What do you guys think about her?
I think she has potential to see like fringe meta status. I think she's too binary, but I don't know how you fix that without also like changing and gutting her ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I think she's too reliant on like I am going to like kill myself and one target.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe like that play style is like unique enough to have a place in the game.
Remember when she was designed for top lane?
Was she?
Yeah, like all the fucking champion spotlight was fucking freak, showing how you use the Q down waves and then you E back through them.
You know, I actually don't think like lane Vi is that bad. I think if you go way more damage, it's kind of fine. But she just functions in the jungle a lot better, where she doesn't have to like lose early trades to stronger laning champions.
Yeah, she has good shields for like sustaining in the jungle. Like she's definitely like a good jungler.
Yeah.
I think she's like a great pick up and play jungler for like newer players. She's like relatively like easy to play. Sure, she has the Q skill shot, but outside of that, she's kind of great.
Yeah, the only hard mechanic is what the Q flash, which it seems a little bit easy, but I promise you will cancel your Q with flash or like completely negate it like several times if you aren't familiar with how it works.
Yeah, it feels like you just stop sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like with Vi, if we're like, because her current kit's pretty fine at what it does, so our option is either leave her alone or do like a complete fucking overhaul. But I have no idea how the fuck you even get started. And I feel like set is basically like what you could make Vi, but it's just set now.
I think the only true ability that needs fixing is her W. I think her W is like it should just be a passive, right? Like third auto attack shreds armor and grants you a boost of attack speed. And she just should have another ability.
Yeah, I mean, so then what would you be like wanting that to be?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like what would be good with her playstyle, like maybe damage reduction or I mean maybe we could even go like sort of Poppy ult-esque where the target you ult deals reduced damage. Like maybe CCing targets reduces non-CC targets damage against you.
What if she just did tons of damage against structures because she's the fucking vault breaker?
I mean, I could even see that.
She can Q towers. Done.
Maybe her like her bust up like on hit or 3-hit passive works against it.
I don't mind 80 characters doing more damage to towers. Like the amount that 80 characters do compared to like 80 characters is crazy.
Yeah, especially late in the game, like Ziggs 2-hitting towers. Oh my god.
I do
Diana
think Ziggs should
three-hitting.
2-hit turrets, but yeah, I don't think Diana should.
Yeah, Diana melts turrets.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it'd be
Ziggs
really
is
cool
supposed to be that.
if she was like, yeah, she fucking just did extra damage to like structures and stuff with her like passive. That'd be really cool.
But I don't really think that fixes her.
No. I just like it's just something that like makes sense for her kit. I think more than anything.
Yeah.
If you get really fed, you get fucking boot fists.
Yeah. Boot fists.
I don't really know. I think she's like a character that I like that she's simple. Like I wouldn't want her to be more complex, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think like if you're interested in playing Vi, like she is definitely viable. No pun intended. Give it a shot. Build Divine Sunderer into Sterix because like she uses that so well with her E. That I think the character like so I remember Broxa picking it and then I played it for a couple games. It feels good. She with Divine Sunderer and Sterix and like Black Cleaver, that's dance like that sort of build. She becomes like pretty tanky, but also does a surprising amount of damage.
Yeah, she's wild.
And I think her having like guaranteed CC is really good for the game as well, especially on a character like her.
Yeah, I agree. Do we want to talk about Viego? I honestly don't think there's too much to say about Viego personally, mainly because I think most of our things we just need certain aspects of him nerfed, but like kit-wise, do we have anything we'd change kit-wise about him, I guess? Like, rather than, like, just nerf his passive, make it so, like, Blade of the Ruin King doesn't proc on fucking spells of transfer targets, make it so he doesn't have infinite healing, make it so he doesn't go invulnerable, make it so he doesn't heal, make it so he doesn't get fucking their full items, all those things. Like, I don't
their
think...
cooldowns reset, too.
Yeah, like, I don't think kit-wise, though, like, I would change anything, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, I don't think so either. This is, again, maybe a hot take. I really like Viego. I think his playstyle is super fun. I think he's that perfect sort of, like, flashy, but not too overpowered once his numbers get tuned, where I think, like, he could be a very good niche. I'd love to see him in a sort of, like, Yasuo scenario where you can't, at least competitively, in terms of, you know, competitive, you can't pick him 100% of the time because you'll get trashed by other characters. But there will be like fringe niche scenarios where he's just going to run over the game because you picked a good Viego comp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
I think one of the biggest things for me is just like when he goes untargetable is super frustrating. And he needs to have probably a small window of it, but like every other reset character doesn't get to do that.
Yeah, but every other reset character also isn't CC'd for that duration as well, like during reset.
Yeah,
so I think the biggest issue is like he heals for a shit ton of HP, plus he's taking Triumph every single game. So it's like he heals for like 18 or 20% of his mixing health when he gets a reset. And it's, as someone who has played probably the most Viego out of us, it's really easy to get a reset. I mean, I don't think it's that hard to participate in one kill in a team fight without dying.
Yeah, like he even has the factor of like if you're chain feeding like really hard, if your team gets a pick on someone strong, you just become that strong for that duration.
Yeah. And most of the time I would argue that you want to be in Viego form, even if you do get a pick on someone good, unless you are chain feeding like that, like you want to go back to being you so that you have access to all of your super good abilities and like a better build and that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest bait things that people fall into is they turn into the support for 10 seconds. Yeah,
like you don't want to be a fucking Lulu when you're 20-1 as Viego. Because, hey, you'll lose.
Yeah. For sure. Cool. Do we want to talk about Vladimir, who's probably Colton's least favorite character in the game, I would assume, right now?
Well, after we talk about Viktor, maybe.
Oh, is Viktor first? Oh, we have Viktor. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like Viktor. I think he's currently in a very, like, not a great spot, like, in terms of strength, but in terms of, like, balance of kit, I think he's in a great spot.
Yeah, I think his kit's pretty good and works pretty well together. I think current balance-wise, he's pretty weak just because of numbers and like the strength of other types of characters that aren't control mages. I mean, I'm trying to think of like what you could really do, if anything, to him. But I feel like his kit's just like all of it is built to interact with itself.
I like his new stacking like mechanics. I think that's way more interesting than his old ones.
Than purchasing your hex core upgrades.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot to say about I guess Viktor, because I think like from a kit perspective, it's just so he is a very well designed character, and I think he sort of fulfills exactly what his lore like says he does. And I don't know, he lives up to that like control mage, like I'm gonna keep my distance by kiting you really well sort of play style.
Yeah, I could maybe see giving him some kind of unique interaction with just items. It'd probably have to be pretty small, but like with the idea that, you know, like your Tom Kench is like wearing Sunfire Cape, but like Viktor fucking embeds that needlessly large rod into himself, right? Like he like takes off his arm and like puts this new feature on because it's stronger. And I don't know how you might do that. You could maybe make it like his legendary bonus on his like his mythic bonus is a little stronger, or like I don't know how you could really do that in a balanced way. But I think thematically it could be cool at the very least if he had some kind of interaction with items like that. He can't. He can buy items for like 2% cheaper, but he can't sell them.
I think it would just be so impossible to balance that at all. And I think that sort of is what his passive right now is supposed to be, is that he is like augmenting himself.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. I don't know, he's good.
Yeah, just give him some number adjustments so that I can play Viktor mid.
Yeah, hell yeah. Do we want to talk about Vladimir?
Delete it.
You hate Vlad so much, man.
Yeah, he's fucked. His W is the most ridiculous thing in the game.
It also costs 20% of his HP.
Yeah, but he heals for more than that from it.
If you're under someone, sure. Also, it has a really long cooldown.
Not really.
I mean, it does have a long cooldown. Like
you can't. Once a wave.
I mean, sure, but like Zillion ulti is 2 waves.
So one of my biggest things with Vlad is I think he heals way too much for hitting minions in particular. Like, as someone who tries to poke out a Vlad in lane, you're gonna run out of mana way before he runs out of health, even if you're hitting every single ability.
I don't know. I understand it would be frustrating to play against that, but I think it's okay for a character to have a lot of healing. I think he has way too much damage and too much burst.
Yeah.
Like I think it is fine for a character to be a drain tank and to dip low, to heal up, and then to keep fighting. I think that's fine, and that aspect is okay. But like when he's one-hitting every single character on the team and also burst healing for 2,000 between his ultimate and his powered Q, like that is where I think it needs to be like evened out to. Like he should heal a lot, but he shouldn't. It should be a slow like battle over time to win the lane, and not like, okay, well I got comboed by Vlad and that's it. No, I can't do anything now because he does. He's untargetable and does 1 million damage.
Mm-hmm. Like I definitely like would rather have him be like, I preferred the top lane very tanky Vlad that does like some damage, and I prefer that to the glass cannon 1-hit 4 characters Vlad.
I would also like his like, what if his Q did current health? Like, ooh, like he sucks like fucking like healthy boys rather than like fucking preying on the dead, the elderly. You know what I mean? Like, it would just make more sense if, or even if it didn't do more damage, but it healed more. Like if he cues like healthy characters than like weak characters. Like that just makes sense, right?
No, I really like the idea that it's like, if he's taking your vitality but you don't have very much, he's not going to get a ton of an effect from it. I think generally moving his stuff lower damage would be nice, and I mean give him, maybe a little bit more health, some damage reduction to compensate. Like I like the idea of him as like a tanky drain tank B in there, and I hate that his ultimate is just increased damage from all sources. Like, I'm fine if he wants to deal bonus damage and it echoes on people, but why does it increase damage from all sources? I feel like that's a really big remnant of the past for Vlad.
I mean,
maybe.
I don't think it's I don't think it's that much, but I could see it being a little frustrating, like adding 12% extra damage onto a character who already can one hit you.
Yeah, that's fair. I would be fine if that even like give it like making his heals like way stronger. Like I fucking hate healing in League of Legends. Don't get me wrong, but Vladimir probably should just heal a lot.
Yeah, like there are very few characters who just should have a lot of healing, and Vladimir is absolutely like probably him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's like the
main
thing.
I think for his ultimate, they could compensate by like take away the plus 10% damage from all sources and be like, hey, while you're affected by Hemoplague, Vlad's healing off abilities on you is doubled, like, or plus 40%.
Yeah, whatever it is. Like, you can time it to heal all the way back up, right? Like, it doesn't do like as much damage because it doesn't do increased like burst or whatever. But yeah, I mean that makes sense. Like, he's literally a fucking like vampire.
Yeah, I do think he should do like a pretty sizable amount of damage. I think he should be a damage threat. But he shouldn't be a burst mage, who can also full heal on a single wave.
Yeah, I could also. So how do we feel about his passive? The health into AP into health. I mean, obviously it's
old,
like
but it's fine.
Old, and it works. I think the alternative would have to be something along the lines of just like, if you're near a lot of enemies, or like if you hit a lot of enemies, you get bonus stats. But I think it's pretty fine as is. Like, because it allows you to build a lot of those tanky items and still have AP. But in reality, what it lets you do is build full glass cannon and still have 2,500 health. Yeah,
exactly. I think it should like almost. Like, I'd be more okay with it. Like, I think it's fine for, like, just in general. But it should, like, make him want to be, like, a kind of tanky boy, right? Rather than make him want to just get bonus stats for building glass cannon, as you said, right?
What if they just made it so, like, the conversion was limited by the other stat? So, like, your AP can turn into health as long as you have enough health also turning into AP. Like, they're bound to each other. So I think... Go ahead, Dick.
I was just gonna say, I think he should just have like an Omnivamp or a Riftmaker sort of passive. Like, get rid of the conversion, because I think like it is another one of those very hidden like but very powerful effects. But make it so, hey, like if you want to do a lot of damage, you have to be fighting a champion for a really long time. How do you do that? Build tanky. Like, and then you start increasing the damage you deal if you're in combat for like up to 10 seconds with a champion. Like, you'll start doing a lot of damage and you'll heal for a shit ton, but you have to survive long enough to get there.
Yeah, I could see that, where it's like, you have to like have hit a champion every X amount of seconds to continue building and building and building up.
Yeah,
I'd
until like eventually you hit a cap, sort of like Riftmaker, and now you deal a lot of extra damage, you heal for a lot more, but you have to survive to get there.
Yeah, I could see that, and like I think that also kind of makes sense, where right, like you're draining and draining more, and like not only are you hurting them, but you're building up your own power, and you're just like, hey, I'm like a fully realized Hemomancer king, because he's not a vampire.
Definitely not.
Yeah, but like, right, it's like I'm blood sated or whatever, and now very, very strong. Or, not crazy strong. It's like now I get bonus healing or whatever. Mm-hmm. I could see that. Again, the ultimate giving 10% from all sources. The W, I get. I think it should just be a little shorter, honestly. Like, as much as I bitch and moan about the ability, I just think it should last less time.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Like, it's such a good ability. Like, it doesn't have to last more than, like, 0.5 to 1 seconds. Like, I don't know how long it lasts, but I feel like
it's 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's so long. Like, make it 3/4 of a second. Because you get to go untargetable, man.
It doesn't do, like, a ton of damage and stuff anymore like it used to, which is nice. But, yeah, it can be frustrating sometimes, I agree.
Yeah, but that's also another thing where it's like, I'd be way more okay if it, like, if it could be used more for damage, and, like, maybe the duration can extend if you're under somebody. Like, you're gonna keep draining them. Like, I just hate it as an escape tool. Again, playing against it is my biggest vendetta, where, oh, cool, like, I finally managed to whittle you down, and I go in, and you ghost W, and you're untargetable for 2 seconds and get all the way back to your tower from halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, my jungler's there just saying, oh, well, I would have stunned him, but I literally can't.
Yeah, no, Vladimir's, like, interesting. He's definitely had his ups and downs throughout the years. I think he's, like, pretty average right now, but definitely still has frustrating parts. You know who definitely has frustrating parts in their kit?
Volibear, because he's the next character?
He's the next character. I actually think, like, overall his kit's, like, fucking really well designed. My only issue, like, once again, and I will say this every fucking episode of the podcast, is I think his abilities all chain together way too fucking easily. Like, if you throw your E down, you always have fucking time to get in range to Q them, to stun them into it, then get W off, and then by the time they're out of the stun, you have a second W off. Like,
yeah, I understand. Yeah, I could see that.
And like,
his
once
E
again,
should be dealing a lot less damage.
Yeah, exactly. We're not here to fucking balance numbers, but, like, holy fuck, the damage his E does is fucked, and the shield that he gets from it is fucked. And if he double dips and hits you with the shield and does the damage,
you just lose that trade.
Yeah.
Because then he's getting multiple W's off as well, also dealing extra damage and healing. Like,
it's just weird. Like, his kit's just so, like once again, he's a strong early game character that's supposed to just, like, kind of, like, shit on you. Is, like, I understand that he's not that good late game, and I understand his weaknesses. But, like, holy fuck, he has so much in his kit to survive. Huge shield that does tons of damage if you're near him. His W allows him to heal after the first one. His ultimate gives him extra health. Like, all these things are so fucking, like trade heavy, like, favored in his kit.
I like Volibear. I think I played the most out of him.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only, like, really problematic aspect that I would change is, like, his ultimate probably shouldn't turn off turrets.
Maybe new mechanic they added.
Maybe even just making it like, oh, Volibear reduces the damage turrets deal for a short time.
Or but, even if, like,
fully disabling it is bad.
Even if he was immune to the tower damage, and it's like, okay, fine, like, he is, but your allies aren't, so you still have to, like, draw aggro accordingly.
Or make it the other way, where, like, you guarantee, ulting a turret guarantees that the turret will target you.
And does, like very little or something?
Yeah, maybe reduce damage, but, like, I will take aggro.
So here is one thing that I was thinking that I think could be super hype is for his E, you can leave it on his E, but I think, like, if it was a lightning strike and then, like, rippled out an area effect of, like, thunder maybe half a second later, right, like the delay between them. But I think it could be really, really hype if that was his ultimate. Where I'm thinking, like, the first strike of it would be, like, this huge lightning bolt that comes down, kind of similar to Leona R. And if you get hit by the lightning, then, like, the thunder that ripples out after does more. Either, like, stuns you for, a bonus second or deals bonus damage. And then...
Are we still letting it be a gap closer?
No. This would be like Leona R, basically. It's like he's just calling a fucking lightning bolt from the sky.
I think he needs I think he needs the gap close that he currently has.
Well, what I was saying is then you could give him like a gap close on his E then for his normal trade pattern is like kind of swap them where his E could be like a dive in like body slam almost, does like a little bit of damage, and then like his ultimate is, you know, bitch, it's thunder time, like call in the lightning strike, I've got my mega lightning claws now, like let's fucking go.
I don't know, I feel like that would work on other like a different lightning based character. Mm-hmm. You know, because I really like new Volibear's ultimate. I think it's fantastic. It's like it feels powerful at the same time that it is powerful. You know, it's one of those like abilities where it feels good to use. It probably doesn't feel good to get hit by it. I think the ratios should be changed for sure. I think it is. I think it's a massive ratio, by the way, for both AP and AD. But I don't know. I wouldn't change much about Volibear. Like, at least kit-wise, I guess.
Nah, scrap the whole thing. Make him Warwick. Give him all of Warwick's abilities. But lightning. No, I think he's pretty fine. I was just trying to come up with, like... I think if they wanted to go that direction, like, with the intent of, let's rework him for the sake of reworking, I think his ultimate being just, like, call down a huge lightning bolt... And I think that there'd be a lot of really interesting parody there with Ornn. Right, where it's like,
fair enough.
Ornn calls in the Ornn horn, like, the other Freljord god is, right, like, his Q is a little CC. Yeah, and Anivia is kind of weird, but, like, right, Volibear and Ornn being, like, opposite in that way, I think could be really cool.
No, I got you. I'm just,
Yeah, but Anivia doesn't fit that pattern by any means.
It'd be cool. Well, I mean, I guess in theory she calls down a big fucking...
Yeah. Hey, do you want to change her ultimate so that it's not like a toggle and that like she calls down a bigger storm in a huge area?
And it freezes one target that you throw the skill shot at, and then it like kind of slows everything around her.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be cool. What if she also wrote a boar?
Cool. That is Volibear, and that is the end of our episode. We are fucking nearing the end, boys. What comes after V? Do you guys know? I don't have the
W.
It's Warwick is next.
Is it just Warwick? I don't have the actual list.
Warwick, Wukong, and then we go into X. So probably next episode's gonna be Warwick, Wukong, Xayah, Xerath, Xin Zhao, Yasuo, Yone. And then there's 8 more characters after that, but I feel like capping an episode with Yasuo Yone.
There's 8 YZ characters that don't include Yasuo Yone?
Yorick,
there's
Yumi,
lots of Zed
Zac,
characters.
Zed, Zig, Zillion, Zoe, Zyra.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
There's
we'll have to do
wild.
fucking
6 Z characters.
We have to double back and do fucking Vex when she comes out too.
True.
Because
Well,
when they release
what are we
her
gonna... I was going to say, what are we going to do? Fix her new kid that just came out?
We don't
whatever
like
new
this thing
mechanic
that
they
Riot
add, we'll
made.
just remove it.
Yeah, we'll gut it.
Take it away.
We'll say-
or if they don't give her enough new mechanics, we'll give her like 12.
We'll figure out some ability to swap.
I love
Exactly.
that we always do that, man. It's like characters that are overloaded, we're like, gut them, take it all away. And then characters with like nothing, like our Sona rework, it's like, give her 25 passives.
Yeah, exactly. We probably do what Riot wants to do, and when they do it, we're like, yuck. And when we do it, we think we're fucking savants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like it's easy to fall into like, oh, this would be such a cool idea for a character, and then you start implementing those things, and from an outsider's perspective, it's like, holy fuck, how did you think this would be okay at all?
Yeah.
Like, you've clearly never played this game before. You're terrible at your job. And you're just like, I just had a really cool idea for like fully ascended Taric.
Yeah.
Why is this?
Yeah.
Why are you hating me?
Yeah, why won't you let Taric be a fucking just king of everything? I want Taric to slam down his hammer and summon Mount Targon in the middle of the rift.
That'd be sick.
It's
That would
just
be really
3
cool.
quarters of
Like the
screen.
fucking Pokemon Stadium 2 transformations in Melee.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's the episode. Thank you guys for listening. Talk to you guys next month. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.